Hello. You look
How are you?
comfy with your tea.
Yeah, it's getting so cold here.
Oh no! You're like,
Yeah,
I'm leaving now. I'm out.
yeah. No, I love it. I went this morning with Rennie actually,
Oh,
very early for a beach walk in the clear blue sky but fresh air. It's like one of my favorite temperatures. If you're good like beanie and scarf and
yeah.
warm, it's good.
Oh, that sounds actually really nice.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
Oh,
I'm like,
nice.
no.
I'm
How are
actually
you?
a little jealous. I'm good. Yeah, I had a good weekend with Sula. I just basically carted around all weekend after her competitions. So
Ah, congrats.
yeah, I was helping her. I drove and I was her supporter. Dom came as well, so it was really fun. But we had like, I don't know how many, I think she had like 8 fights or something. So
Oh,
yeah, I honestly don't know how she does it.
yeah, wow.
It's so intense, but she did
Only
really
Sula
well.
can do this, no? Like
Pardon?
only Sula can do it.
Only Sula can do
Like
it. Yeah.
like I remember her like I don't know how old she was when I came here, but already like full of energy. Like
Yeah, that's so true. She's
yeah.
like brimming with it. And then yesterday we went and trained. So she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm just going to come and just do some light rolls," and she just went again for like an hour and a half. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, wow.
Anyway,
Mm.
cool. So I'm really excited to be with you again. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to today's session. It's going to be a bit number crunchy, but there's also going to just be a bit of exploring as well around like the different areas of finance. So just to start with, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you feeling today when it comes to your finances and business?
Ooh, that's a broad question. Confident. Like I feel confident that I am making enough. I
Mm-hmm.
don't feel confident about my knowledge of what's actually coming in and out of the movement of things.
Knowledge of the movement. Cool, good answer. So
Unless
let's,
you have to repeat it yourself in the head and then it just floats out.
yeah, that's good. You did well. So today, what I'd love to start, as we spoke about last week, is starting to look into the numbers. So to start with, we're going to just do, I'm going to bring up my iPad and we're doing a brainstorm on
Yeah.
different areas of finance. And then we're going to get started with the outgoings and the incomings. So looking at a budget template. So I'm going to walk you through one I have because I don't want it to be too overwhelming. And we can start adding in some of the categories. And if you want to, we can start putting in some of the numbers. And then from this session, you can go away and continue with adding everything into it. So it starts to become
Yeah.
your own. And I'll also leave it up to you if you want to drive. If you want to put all the numbers in today, you can. Or if you want me to do it and you watch, that's also fine. So we can
Okay.
decide that. Um, how does that sound?
Good.
And if I was to ask what your intention is, what you'd like to get out of today, let me just make sure that we're in alignment. So, what would you like to come away with today?
Uh, getting uh, getting it in front of me, like clear. So I think we're pretty much on the same line. Like at least just like putting it in front of the table, like
Okay.
and then work from there.
Okay, sounds good. Cool. So, let me start with bringing up my iPad notes. Okay. Can you see my screen? No, it hasn't come up yet, has
Yeah.
it?
I see black.
You
I
see
do
black.
see you are viewing Leah Lowenfeld's screen recording.
Yeah.
No, no information.
No information. Great. Uh, try again. Now?
No.
No?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. White. Now it's white. Yes. Yeah.
All right.
So
Awesome.
exciting.
So I'm going to, you may have seen or heard me talk about this before, or maybe not. These are called the foundations of financial independence. So when it comes to our money, I've broken down our finance into 5 areas. And the purpose of this is not that one comes before the other, like you'll have a relationship with all 5 of them already, but the purpose is to understand one, how you feel about them, whether you feel that there's challenges or if you feel quite good. And you'll notice that through your life, things will change. So sometimes you're going to feel really confident in one area and not so much in another. So we want to get a good grasp of where you are with all of them now so that we know what we're doing going into your money. And then we can reevaluate if there's any goals or things that we need to take away from each.
Okay.
So to start with, the bottom layer is debt. So this is all of the money coming out of your account that has been borrowed or that you owe. So this could be a mortgage, it could be a credit card, it could be that someone lent you money. So there may be multiple sources of where this is coming from. And I sometimes describe it as like a bit of a leaky bucket. So it's like having a bucket with holes at the bottom. And what we want to do is make sure that we understand the debt, we know how we're going to pay for it if we need to. Not necessarily that we have to completely pay it all off, but more just we know how we're paying it off before we can start thinking about some of the other areas of finance. So I'm curious to hear what you feel or how you feel about debt.
Kind of scary. Um, but also a word I never use because I don't see my mortgage as debt, especially it's just something like monthly payments I have to pay.
Mm-hmm.
So I see it more as just like a monthly cost rather than a debt. I know why it's considered as a debt, but I don't use that word
Yeah.
personally. So the word itself doesn't come up so much in my mind.
Yeah, and that's also completely fine because I also don't include mortgage as my debt. For me, it's investment, so it's a completely different
Yeah,
category.
yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah.
for some people, that's what they would call it. So that's also good to
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else? Like, what's your relationship with debt like? So, do you have any debts?
Um, I have a credit card running, but it's like one that's linked to my account. So every month it just takes out. So it's only like kind of like PayPal,
Yep.
where I use it so I can pay internationally, but then it goes out straight. So I don't have any like major debts. Like each month it has to be like zero again.
Yep.
And so the only debt that I have is the house, the mortgage.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Anything else coming up for debt, or is that it where we can leave it?
That's it.
That's it. Nice. All right. So the next layer is spending. So this is all the money leaving your account. So this could be on fixed bills. This could be on fun spendings, like things that you enjoy. It could be on your future goals or maybe giving. So maybe you give the money away to people like gifts or you like to donate. So all the money leaving your account. So how do you feel about this area?
Um, like I'm spending too much.
Okay.
Like I try to think each day, like same how I guess some people are with food, like, oh, today I'm not gonna eat so much sugar. I
Mhm.
think today I'm not gonna spend so much money. Like I feel like I remember, and this was a long time ago, but I remember the days where I was like, oh, I haven't spent anything today. And just the idea of that every day there's money going out
Mhm.
does give me a slight anxiety, or like I know it's actually part of the whole point of having money, but I think because I'm not a huge big amount spender, it's more the little things, like a
Mhm.
coffee, and I've written it all down like the homework kind of stuff. But it's like little amounts, so I think that just clutters it up, and then I'm like, oh, I wasn't aware that I just spent like $100 in one day,
Mhm.
for example.
Mhm.
Um, so I definitely feel like it's it's like a no, not like a drug, but it feels like the spending part is sometimes overtaking me of what I actually want to spend. But then on the other hand, I've always been fine, but I can spend money easily. That's a good way of putting it. I can
And
spend money easily.
yeah, great.
Also, when I'm with my sister, for example, I mean, she lives differently, but it doesn't mean that I want to take my income as for granted, like I said in one of our first sessions. Um, but she goes to the supermarket and she's like, "Nah, that's way too expensive. I'm not gonna pay that." And I rarely look at uh, costs of things, or like yeah, like no, like I don't know the value so much of
Mm. Do you find like
other.
I do this too? Sometimes I will leave the supermarket and I would have spent, and I'm like, I don't even know what I just spent. I didn't even think about
Yeah,
it. I just bought what I
yeah,
needed to buy.
yeah. And
Yeah.
or I come to the checkout
Mm.
and I literally went in with the idea I'm gonna cook at home, so I'm
Mhm.
spending less money than going out for dinner, and then I spend more money than going out for dinner, and I'm like, what did I just really buy? What's so expensive? Or I or not at all. I think about this
Mm.
what I've spent. Yeah.
Cool. Anything else to add on spending?
um. Well, you mentioned gifting and like sharing. I definitely feel that uh yeah, this is part of spending for sure, but like I feel sometimes like I should be spending the money for people because they expect it, but they don't expect it. But I'm like, oh, like my friend works at a cafe, I will pay her dinner because she has to work for the whole day. I have to work for it an hour or not even.
Mm.
And then I spend money easily for other people as well.
Mm.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah, that's important, I think, because you want to feel good and intentional about your spending on other people. So it doesn't necessarily have to come from a place of obligation of like, oh, I should do it, but more, I want to do it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
No, that's right.
Cool. Okay, next is what color should I do? Let's go green. This one's saving. So this is all the money that we keep. So you made a comment with spending. It's like that feeling like when it's always going out of your account. It's just never ending, but it's kind of part of life. So it's always going to happen. And I think sometimes what we forget with saving is that is the only money that we keep. So sometimes our feelings around saving is that we're being boring or we're not allowing ourselves to do things that we want to do. Whereas I see savings as the only money we keep because everything else we give away. So savings is really
Mm.
special. So I'd love to hear how you feel about saving.
Um, I have always felt good about it. At the moment, I feel like I'm using my savings because last year I didn't work so much. Plus, I spent a lot of money on my yoga study, and early last year when I had big spendings to go to New York, that I've never looked at because I'm too scared to even look at it. Um, so right now I feel like I'm not having savings because I'm using the savings even though I still have savings.
Mm-hmm.
So my do you say threshold? No, not threshold.
Yeah.
Yeah, feels like zero when it comes lower than like a certain amount. Um, uh, but then on the other hand, all the times that I've had to pay my tax, which I saved the money for, has always been like exactly right or even more. So I always save money. Like when my money comes in, I have a kind of logic in my, or like a rhythm of, that goes to savings, that goes to the savings for the tax, and then the rest can be spent. Or
Amazing. So
like,
do you have more than one savings goal, or do you just have savings for tax?
no, I have one for tax and one savings for it's kind of where, like, it's savings because I don't put it in my account.
Mhm.
Also, in case my card ever gets stolen or people want to use it, want to use it,
Of
they
course, I
might
want
do.
to use it.
um, but I pay myself my monthly wage out of this if there's not money coming in fluently from my agency. So um, I like the way I have my um, account structures is I have two BVs, and one company is paying me as Gigi
Mhm.
a monthly wage,
Mhm.
and that sometimes I take it out of my savings account just so I have it so I can pay my mortgage, and I'm not spending like too much business expenses, or I think I can use the money because you're right. Like in my head, if it's in my account, I'm like, oh, I can still spend money because there's still this amount in it. But if it's in my savings, I feel like it's sacred.
Got it. And is that savings account a business savings account then?
Yeah,
You, so you take it out to pay yourself the wage? Yeah. Do you
yeah,
have any personal savings accounts? No. Okay.
yeah.
We'll definitely can explore that a little bit further as well. I think that'd be good. Obviously, today we're going to be focusing on this area. We'll get
Yeah.
that after. Um, Amazing. Can I move on to the next one?
Yeah.
The next one is income. So this is all the money coming to you. So we could be talking about, you've already mentioned you draw a salary from your company. This could be money that comes in as donations or one-off projects, or you sell something and you make some money on it. So it could be passive income. It could be money you're actively making. So I'd love to hear about your feelings around income.
Um, well, it's funny that you just said like the passive income, because I always forget that that's a part of my income.
Mm.
Funny enough, because I haven't worked for it. But yeah, the last couple of years, Sean was living in my house, so uh, he would give me passive income basically by renting a room. Um, income, yeah, worth. I think I have a good income. Like, yeah, I don't know if that's even a way of describing
Of course.
it.
If you feel good about it, you have a good income.
Yeah. But very inconsistent income as well, besides the passive uh,
Sorry, my
income.
pen is doing something very weird. 1 second. It's not my writing. I'm not shaking. I don't know what's happening.
Ah,
Oh, see what I mean? It's like gone all like childlike.
yeah.
So weird. Okay, try again. That's better. A good but inconsistent income.
Yeah.
I think it was running out of battery.
Ah.
Anything else that comes up for you on that?
Coming from all different directions.
Mm. different directions. All right. And lastly, can you guess?
Investment?
Yay, there you go. Investment. I always see this as like the cherry on top. It's like the cake. If this is your finance cake, this is the cherry on top. This is like
Yeah.
the bit where you can start making your money grow for you. So this is the stuff. It's not the same. It could be kind of passive income again. Like you may also see your rent as investment. You may see the money you pay as investment each month for your mortgage, and the money that you receive for your rental property. That could be income. That could be investment. But investment, I think, sometimes has a scary connotation because it feels like really grown up and like you need to understand stocks and shares, and maybe you think about cryptocurrency. But investment could also be what you invest in your business. So whether that's investing in your own learning because you are your business, it could be, you know, starting up this yoga business. You're going to be making an investment there of time and money and energy. It could be, what are other forms of investment? Yeah, property is another one. Maybe you create artwork and you sell that, and then the value goes up. So what does investment mean to you?
Yeah, definitely my home.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime I feel worried about my income, I'm thinking, oh, but I have my home. I can make passive money from that. Or I can move out and rent something smaller and still use that space to make money. And like, that's definitely one of the better, or like the main investments.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, well, even this to
Mm-hmm.
me is an investment. Like actually learning and studying and to just get more, yeah, to get more knowledge and be smarter about things. And that's this, but that was also the yoga teacher training. It's also when I work out and I'm investing in the way I look, so I'm ready for when they call me. um I have a little bit of Bitcoin, but I'm very much avoiding to look at that. Um, Also, like the stock market investment, very unfamiliar for me and very abracadabra.
Mm-hmm. Is it something that you're interested in getting into or learning more about?
Yeah, if I'm able to understand it, because I don't like to just um kind of guess. And I mean, it is kind of gambling afterwards, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you can be slightly more smart about it than I am. Like I literally, Joe told me a few years ago, just put some money in, and I did it. But I have no clue what it actually is for or
Yeah.
what it's doing. So only if I understand it a little better, so I know. I mean, I'm interested in learning it because I do think that most people that are smart with money invest in those areas. I think.
Well, or they're just better gamblers.
Mm,
They're better at taking risk. It depends because
yeah.
I invest in stocks, but not passive, not actively, and I think that's where the knowledge gap can happen because there's such thing as passive investing where you or robo investing. So it's like a algorithms that do it for you.
Mm,
So there's a lot
mhm.
of apps out there now you may have seen, and you put money in monthly or however often you want, and the robo investors do the work for you. So you just put your money in, and it's essentially like almost like a savings account, but with risk of the fact that if the stock market goes down, you might lose that money. So for me, that's like a really great way of doing it without having to learn or think too much about what it is to invest in stocks and shares, because I don't have to do any of that work. I just say, this is how much risk I'm happy to take. This is how much money I'm willing to put into that risk. You do the rest. And then you might get more of an interest.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely not a subject that I love learning, so I doubt that I will ever be this. I mean, you never know, but I doubt it. I will find it very interesting to like fully understand and be active with it. So that's kind of passive, like robo
Investing, yeah, passive investing.
sounds more like something that I would be comfortable with and I would happily hear. But
cool. It's interesting as well because I think we invest in a lot of things that we don't even think about. So every time we buy something, we are investing in that brand. So you may choose Apple as, do you have an iPhone?
yeah.
Yeah, so you may not have stocks and shares of Apple, but you invest in their equipment. Whatever toilet paper brand you use, that's also an investment. So, and I think sometimes we can also back companies that we really like just by the choices that we make as to what we're buying, who we're buying from.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Awesome. All right, so there we go. That's your foundations. So this is kind of like the base of everything that we're going to be working through when we're working together. So we've already established your relationship with debt. So I don't think there's much that's going to happen or need to happen there. What may come in is just what you've mentioned about the credit card, of like tracking that. So we just have that as part of your budget, but you already know that you pay that off monthly. So spending is the area we're going to focus on to start with. That's all the money going out of your account, and then naturally what comes in is the income, so what's also coming into your account. With savings as well, I think it would be really interesting to explore what you're currently saving, and then with goals, like attaching goals to your savings, so not just in your business but also in your personal life. So sometimes the feelings we have around not knowing what's happening with our money is to do with savings, and the anxiety we have around spending is because we don't have the intentional money for what we're spending on. So what we're doing with the budget is not trying to set like strict rules about what you can and can't do. It's not about trying to guilt or shame you for what you spend on. It's around just getting a really realistic picture of everything that's happening in your account so that you know where to go from there. So I love the concept of guilt-free spending. So I think we all should have money that we are allowed to spend, that we allocate towards whatever we want to spend it on. So when you're spending on, like, for example, you mentioned the little things, like you like to have those little coffees and you see that all add up, that can very happily be in your fun spending budget. And if you've allocated for it, then you'll know it's fine. So every time you spend, you're like, that's fine, because I've already put money aside. I know that this is what it's for, rather than just looking every day and going, oh gosh, I can't believe that racked up to that. It's more being more mindful with the spending. And then it's also being more mindful with the savings. So if you go, okay, I in 2 years want to buy a car, so I'm going to put some money aside for that car. That's a very random example. You may never want a car. You don't need one in Holland, in Netherlands.
I have one. I have a car.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
With a roof tent. Actually, this is my plan C or B or however. If I ever run out of money, I just take my car with the roof tent and rent out my apartment for a month.
Oh my god, that's so cool. I didn't know that. So yeah, we can attach your savings to goals as well, so then there's not that guilt about when you're dipping into your savings. And you said there was that threshold, and like when you go below it, you feel like it's below zero even if it's not. So it's like having savings for different purposes. So you know, one is your emergency fund, and that's like if there's anything goes wrong, you've got that there as a safety net. Or if your pay is inconsistent, again, you can dip into your savings, so you know that that's for that. But then you may want ones for amazing trip that you want to do, or some investment in your learning, or any other kind of dreams or goals that you have. So we can be more intentional with that as well. And Then we can look at investment as well. So like what you'd like to do with your money and your time. And just for me, I'm not an advisor, so I'm not going to say invest your money in these shares and etc. I'm going to be like, what do you want to do? How do we plan? How do you get the knowledge you need so that you feel comfortable? Cool. Did you want, I'll send you a copy of this later if you want, with my beautiful handwriting.
It worked out after.
Pardon?
I said you worked through it after all.
I worked through it. That was hard. All right. So, are you ready to move on to budget?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's do it. So, I'm going to give you a template, and you can make this your own. So you can delete things, you can change the colors. It's just for you to as a starting point. So I'm going to share my screen. And I'll also share a link to this as well. I usually would stop recording now, just because it's numbers and personal information. Are you happy with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Except I don't know how to do that. Yeah.